Wow. Listen, OP, I'm happy for you. I know what it's like. I mean, I've never been married, but I know what it's like to catch her cheating with somebody that you knew. Like you didn't know him, but I mean, him being a neighbor, I'm sure you've been around him or you knew enough about him. You kind of described him pretty well and described who he was, but the fact that she came crawling back after all of that, oh gosh. I'm glad you're doing good now. I'm glad you're doing good.
Subject: my ex wife got pregnant by the neighbor and still had the nerve to ask for help. Hey, true story. First off, thank you for your channel. I didn't know men like me had a place to speak, to vent, to heal, but somehow your videos found me when I was at my lowest. My name is Thabo. I'm 33, born in Johannesburg, South Africa, and raised partly in America after my parents did everything they could to bring us here legally when I was a kid. I'm the only child of Sifo and Namvula, two of the hardest working people I know. My father worked night shifts as a security guard and drove Uber during the day when we first got here. My mother cleaned houses, did hair in our apartment kitchen, and somehow still found time to help me with my homework. They always told me that America wasn't just a country, it was an opportunity, a contract, and that once we were here, it was our duty to be better than we were yesterday. So I grew up straight laced, respectful, not perfect, but disciplined. I didn't drink much, didn't run the streets, and I was focused on making my folks proud. I became a mechanical engineer, bought my first car in cash, and by the time I turned 29, I was working for a firm that builds solar systems across the East Coast. I was making six figures, and I thought I had it all figured out, especially when I met Thandika. How we met. Thandeka was also born in South Africa, Durban to be exact. We met at a community cookout organized by local African churches. She was with her auntie, who I knew from my mom's Bible study group. Tall, soft spoken, beautiful smile, and she spoke isiZulu, which hit me right in the chest. I felt like I met someone who understood both my past and my future. Within a few months, we were inseparable. We both talked about how our parents came to America with nothing but dreams and discipline, how we wanted to build on that legacy. She worked in healthcare administration, was getting her RN license, and seemed like a woman with goals. I proposed on our 2-year anniversary. We got married in a small ceremony at a botanical garden and moved into an apartment we could both afford comfortably in Maryland. I bought her a car, not brand new, but reliable. Life was moving in the right direction, or so I thought. The neighbor. Let me tell you something. You can be doing everything right and still get blindsided by evil walking in your own home. There was a guy who lived across the hall from us, an American black dude named Trey. I didn't know much about him at first. He always looked like he just woke up, wearing slides and basketball shorts no matter the weather. Didn't have a car. I never saw him leave for work. Honestly, I thought he was one of those guys who hustled but never actually brought anything to the table. You know the type, always loud in the hallway, got 2 or 3 women coming and going, playing music too loud at night. But I tried not to judge. I greeted him when I saw him. I even helped him jump his dead car battery once. What I didn't know was that this guy was plotting on my wife. Things started to feel off about 6 months into our second year of marriage. I'd come home from work and she'd be freshly showered, but the house would smell like cologne. She'd act nervous when I asked what she did that day. Sometimes I'd see Trey's door open when I came in, and he'd just be staring at me, like he knew something I didn't. One night I came home earlier than usual. I had a headache, told my manager I was leaving work at noon. When I walked in, the living room was dark, but I could hear music faintly playing from the bedroom. I tiptoed in, and that's when I caught her. My wife, Thandeka, was naked in our bed with this man. Our bed. The one we picked out together. She screamed. He laughed. I blacked out for a few seconds. I didn't touch anybody, but I slammed the closet door so hard the handle broke off. I told him to get the hell out of my house before I buried him and dealt with the consequences later. He left, laughing, like it was all a joke, like he had just won something. She sat there crying, covering herself up like her shame didn't just walk out my front door. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I grabbed my spare keys, my laptop, my toothbrush, and I left. I drove straight to my boy's place and slept on his couch. My heart was broken, but my mind was focused. The divorce. The next day, I called my job and told them I needed a few days. I went to a law office that one of my coworkers recommended, a tough older woman named Miss Bell who didn't play games. I explained everything, and she said, "Don't wait. Serve her before she gets the chance to lie first." I had the divorce papers drafted that week. I didn't respond to Thandeka's texts. I didn't answer her calls. She was blowing me up nonstop, trying to explain, trying to say she didn't know what came over her, telling me it was a one-time thing, even though she admitted he had been over a few times when I wasn't home. I had the papers served to her at the apartment the next Friday. She called me crying, saying, "Please, Thabo, can we go to marriage counseling? You can't just give up on us like this." She told me her parents would be disappointed, that mine would be embarrassed. I told her they already knew and that they support my decision. Then she hit me with something that almost knocked the wind out of me. She said, "I'm pregnant." At first, I didn't even believe her, but then she sent me a picture of the positive test. I didn't know what to say. My hands were shaking. I asked her straight up, "Is it mine?" She paused, then said, "I don't know." That told me everything I needed to know. Begging in the rain. After that, I blocked her on everything. We didn't talk for weeks. The divorce moved forward. Miss Bell was a beast in court, made sure I didn't have to give her a penny. We didn't own property together, no kids, and I had receipts showing I paid more than 90% of the bills during our marriage. When the judge finalized it, I felt like I could breathe again. But Thandeka wasn't done. One rainy afternoon in February, I stopped at Target to grab some paper towels and detergent. When I came out, she was standing by my car, hair soaking wet, 9 months pregnant, belly showing under her coat. She looked desperate, like she hadn't slept in days. She begged me to talk to her, said the guy left her, said he didn't want to raise the baby, that he disappeared as soon as she told him she was keeping it. She said, "Thabo, I made a mistake. I thought I could fix it. I was stupid. Please help me. Just until I get on my feet. I know I messed up, but this child doesn't deserve to suffer." I looked at her. I saw the woman I once loved, the woman I thought I would grow old with, now alone, abandoned, carrying another man's child. I took a deep breath, and I told her this. "You made your bed, Thandeka. Now you lie in it. That baby is not mine. You chose your path the moment you opened our door to him. I'm not your husband anymore. I'm not your backup plan. I hope the child grows up okay, but I'm not going to save you." She cried and tried to grab my arm. I gently pulled away, got in my car, and drove off. Through the rearview mirror, I watched her shrink into the mist of the parking lot, still standing in the rain. That was the last time I saw her. Final thoughts. It's been a year now. I've moved to a new city, got a promotion, and started working on my physical and mental health. I'm not dating. I'm not interested. I'm focused on me, focused on healing, building wealth, and taking care of my parents, who sacrificed everything for me to have a shot at this life. Thandeka texted me from a new number once. I didn't respond. I saw one of her cousins post a baby picture online a few months back. The child looked healthy. I wish that baby the best. It's not their fault, but I don't feel bad for her. She broke something sacred. She didn't just cheat on me. She disrespected the life we were building and brought a whole new human into the mess she created. To the men watching this channel, if she shows you who she is, believe her. Don't waste your future trying to fix her past. Forgiveness is fine, but sometimes walking away is the most powerful thing you can do. Thanks for reading True Story. And if you share this email, let the brothers out there know. Thabo is doing just fine. Best, Thabo, Maryland, Georgia, engineer, son, survivor. Hey, True Story. I wasn't sure if you plan to read my last email, but if you do, I'd appreciate it if you add this second part. After I sent you that first email, I thought I was done. I thought everything I needed to say had already been said, and the chapter was closed. But life has a funny way of bringing the past back around when you least expect it. So here's more of my story. Here's what happened after I left Thandika in that Target parking lot, standing in the rain, pregnant and alone. The aftermath. I moved to Georgia in the spring. Fresh start, new apartment, new company. I kept my head down and stayed focused on myself. I wasn't looking to date. I had zero interest in love, relationships, or anything that even resembled emotional vulnerability. You go through what I went through, and it hardens you. People would tell me, "You'll love again." I didn't believe them, and honestly, I didn't care to. I started working out 5 times a week, got back in touch with my culture, started cooking more traditional food, speaking isiZulu more, calling my parents every Sunday. I felt like I was building a version of myself that had been buried under heartbreak and betrayal. But even with all that progress, there were days where I'd randomly think about her. Wonder if she had the baby. Wonder if she was still with that bum neighbor, or if he disappeared like she said. I wasn't stalking her. I had her blocked on everything. But that curiosity, it crept in sometimes, uninvited. Healing isn't a straight line. Running into her cousin. One afternoon, I stopped by a South African food truck in Atlanta that had gone viral online. I was just trying to get some chakalaka and grilled chicken when I heard someone say, "Thabo." I turned around and it was Zanele, Thandeka's cousin. The one who used to always be at our apartment around the holidays. The one who sang at our wedding. We hugged awkwardly. She looked nervous, like she didn't know whether to run or start explaining. "I didn't know you were in Georgia," she said. "Yeah, moved a few months ago. Needed a fresh start." She nodded. Then she said the one thing I didn't expect. "She's here too." I didn't respond, just waited. She moved down after having the baby, said she couldn't stand staying in that apartment. Too many memories. And Trey, that guy, he left for good. Apparently, he's in Texas now with another woman. I didn't flinch. Then she said, "She's been working at a daycare. Struggling, but trying. You know, the baby's name is Kwame." I nodded. "Hope he's healthy." Zanelli looked down at her shoes. "She talks about you, says she dreams about you, that she regrets it every single day." I shook my head slowly. "Some mistakes don't come with second chances." We didn't say much else after that. I got my food and I left, but my appetite was gone. The letter. 2 weeks later, a letter showed up at my apartment. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting. I almost tossed it, but something made me open it. Inside were 3 pages, all handwritten. I'll summarize. She said the baby was born healthy, a boy, that she named him Kwame after her grandfather, that the moment she held him, she broke down crying because she knew he'd never know what it was like to have a complete home. She said she'd applied for public assistance, was working 50 hours a week and barely scraping by. She said the man who got her pregnant told her to handle it herself and blocked her number. She apologized again for everything, for the betrayal, for the pain, for the disrespect. She said she never stopped loving me and that if she could undo it, she would. Then she said the one thing that almost got me to pick up the phone. She wrote, "Kwame deserves to know what a real man looks like. I'm not asking you to be his father, but if you could just talk to him once in a while, when he gets older, maybe he'll grow up seeing what I destroyed." I stared at that line for hours, but I never replied. Because here's the thing people don't understand. Some doors, once closed, are better off locked forever, even if there's a crying baby behind them. The supermarket run in. About 4 months after the letter, I ran into her. I was in Kroger, just doing my regular shopping, when I saw a woman struggling to carry a car seat and balance groceries in the other hand. I moved forward to help instinctively, and then she turned around. It was her, Thandeka. She looked thinner, tired, hair tied back in a loose bun, eyes swollen from lack of sleep. The baby was maybe 7 or 8 months old at that point, sound asleep in the carrier. She looked at me like she'd just seen a ghost. Thabo, she whispered. I didn't say anything. Please, she said, just give me a moment. I looked around, then nodded slowly and followed her to a quieter corner of the aisle. She said she never stopped praying for me, that she still wears the ring I gave her around her neck. She said she knows she ruined everything and doesn't expect forgiveness, but she wanted me to know that she's not the same woman anymore. I haven't been with anyone since, she said. Not once. My whole life is this child now. I looked at the baby, small, peaceful, innocent. You used to talk about having kids, she said. You said you wanted a son to name after your father. You remember that? I nodded. Maybe that won't ever happen now. Maybe I burned that dream to the ground, but I wanted you to see that I'm trying, even if it's too late. I didn't cry. I didn't get angry. I just said, I hope he grows up knowing you did your best, that you didn't repeat the same mistakes, that you never bring a man like Trey around him. He deserves better than that. She nodded, tears in her eyes. He'll never meet Trey. I promise you that. I handed her a coupon that had fallen from her cart, said, take care, and walked away. Did it hurt? Of course, but it didn't undo my peace. Who I am now. I'm not the same man she married. I'm not the angry, heartbroken version of myself either. I'm the man who learned to protect his peace, to prioritize self-worth over nostalgia, to understand that some women are only meant to be chapters, not the whole book. I don't hate Thandeka anymore. I honestly wish her well. I hope her son grows up strong, healthy, and nothing like the man who abandoned them both. And if he ever stumbles across this video, I hope he knows this. Your mother made a terrible mistake, but she owned it. She raised you anyway. That takes strength. You're not your father. You're not your mother. You're your own person. Be better. My life now. So it's been over a decade since the divorce. I've built a life I'm proud of. I run my own engineering consultancy now, something I started from scratch. I bought a house, not a flashy mansion or anything, but it's mine. Clean, quiet, filled with peace and memories I actually want to keep. I got married again to someone who didn't cheat on me. Her name is Ayanda. She's also South African, born here in the States though. When we met at a tech conference in DC, I never thought I'd open my heart again. But Ayanda was patient. She didn't try to fix me. She just let me be. And over time, I found myself choosing her without even thinking. We've got a daughter. Her name is Zola. She's 6 years old now, a Spitfire. Beautiful like her mama, stubborn like her daddy. She changed my world. Being a father the second time around, emotionally at least, taught me that you don't always get to control your story, youth, but you can still write the ending. The message that changed everything. It happened on a random Sunday afternoon. I was sitting outside watching Zola run around with her cousins, and my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to check the voicemail. It was Thandeka. Her voice was shaky. A bit older, more tired. She said, Thabo, I know it's been a long time, and I respect your space, but Kwame has questions. He found an old photo of us in one of my boxes, and now he's asking things I don't know how to answer. He's a smart boy. He knows I'm hiding something. I told him about you. I didn't lie. I told him you're not his father, but I also told him you were once my husband, that you were a good man, and that I ruined it. I don't know what I'm asking you for, maybe nothing, but he wants to meet you, just once, even if it's just a 5-minute hello. I told him not to expect it, but I promised I'd at least try. I must have listened to that voicemail 10 times. The conflict inside me. Part of me said, don't respond. What good could come of it? The boy's not mine. I owe him nothing. I have a family now. I don't need this chaos in my life. But another part of me, the part that remembers holding dreams of fatherhood in my 20s, the part that still carries the echo of betrayal but has long since moved past the anger. That part told me this wasn't about Thandeka anymore. This was about a boy who didn't ask to be born in the middle of someone else's mistake, a boy who just wanted to know who I was. I sat with it for a week. I prayed on it, talked to Ayanda about it. She surprised me with her answer. If you feel you should meet him, do it, she said. As long as your heart is clear, you don't owe anyone anything, but sometimes doing the unexpected thing is what brings closure. The first meeting. I agreed to meet him at a neutral place, a small park. I told Thandeka I didn't want her to hover, and she respected that. She brought him, then waited in the car. Kwame was tall for his age, brown skin, thin build, big eyes, almost too big for his face. He wore a little blue polo shirt and walked toward me like he'd rehearsed what he was going to say. You're Tabo, he said. I nodded. That's me. He sat beside me on the bench. We didn't talk right away, we just watched the ducks in the pond for a minute. Then he said, You were married to my mom? Yes, a long time ago. She said you're not my dad, but she said you used to be nice to her. I tried to be, I said quietly. He was quiet for a minute, then he asked, Did you hate her? That one hit deep. I answered carefully. I was very hurt by what happened, but no, I didn't hate her. If I did, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. He nodded. Then he surprised me. She said you're the reason I have my name. She said you used to talk about naming a son Kwame. I looked over at him, stunned. He smiled a little. I think she hoped you'd change your mind back then. We always sat for an hour, talked about school, video games. He said he wanted to be an architect, but he also liked coding. He was bright, respectful, and clearly carrying the weight of a broken history he didn't create. When it was time to go, he asked, Can I talk to you again sometime? I didn't answer right away, but then I looked him in the eyes, those wide, wondering, innocent eyes, and I said, Sure, we'll talk. Boundaries and balance. Let me be clear. I didn't become his stepdad. I didn't throw myself into his life or try to fill a role that was never mine. I made sure he understood that. I also made it clear to Thandeka that I wasn't stepping into any co-parenting situation. But I gave the kid something he'd never had. An example. A glimpse of what a real man, a healed man, looks like. He calls me Mr. Thabo. Sometimes we talk on video calls. He'll tell me about a test he passed or a comic book he liked. And every time I remind myself, this isn't about her. This is about him. Kwame didn't ask to be born from betrayal, but he was. And none of that is his fault. So if I can be a small light in his life without losing myself or my peace, then I'll do that. But on my terms. Final thoughts. True story. I share all this because I know there's a man out there right now, maybe fresh in his pain, maybe still angry, maybe thinking about revenge or total detachment. I want him to know something. You're allowed to walk away. You're allowed to heal on your own timeline. You're allowed to cut ties, but you're also allowed to evolve. You're allowed to be better than the pain that was given to you. I didn't help Thandeka out of guilt. I didn't talk to Kwame to fix the past. I did it because I had grown into a man who could look at the storm and still offer shelter, even briefly. And if you had told me 10 years ago that I'd one day be chatting with her son on FaceTime while my daughter played in the next room, I would have laughed in your face. But that's life. It rarely goes the way we expect. But sometimes it turns out even better. Thank you for the platform, for letting men like me share our stories. Not all healing is loud. Sometimes it's quiet moments at a park bench or in a child's question that show you how far you've come. Respectfully, Thabo. The man I always wanted to be, finally.